Hello. Good morning or evening or afternoon. oddly melodic. Good morning or evening or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday. As ever, as a professional streamer who knows exactly what they're doing, I have none of my setup. So I'm just doing all that in the background. Don't mind me. Sometimes it's all good to go. Today is not one of those days. I think I want one of these, and I want one of these. I probably want one of these. I think I want one of these? Question mark? Potentially. That'll do. That'll do. I don't really know what I'm doing on Twitch. I don't really know what's going on. Okay. I think I'm there. Question mark. Nope, because someone's talking on Twitch and it is not going through to my. Oh no, it is. Nope, I had the wrong thing selected. Oh. It's all go today. Right. Quacko, Julian, hello. Glad you guys are here. Zek, hello. It's going well. I don't recognise your name. Are you new here? If you are, that's great. If not, I apologise if I've not noticed you before. Alright. Okay, had last Wednesday off, which is fine. I was busy, away with work. But, so yeah, no stream last Wednesday. But in the hotel room, I did have time to hack away at the next video, and I made pretty good process. I was talking about you. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming back. I made pretty good progress on the next video. It's going to be interesting. I might talk a bit more about it later. I guess there's no real spoilers at the moment, but there's a keygen and a full DRM defeat, which is fun. I kind of am a little bit ahead of schedule in that I normally try and do one video a month, and I'm a little bit ahead of where I normally would be. So I'm kind of debating whether I want. There's a few kind of stretch goals, I guess, for the project. I'm seeing if it's worth doing those or if I should just smash cut to filming and editing. So probably a couple of weeks away, but it's good. It's satisfying ending, which is what we want. Okay, let's press the button and move me smaller. Good evening. I feel like am I just slouching or is the camera off center? It's hard to tell. I don't actually know what I'm doing. Okay, so because I took a week off, and I've not looked at the code in a week, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. I mean, just that in general, but also with the stream. What I thought I'd do today is a bit more of a relaxed. It's definitely too high, this camera. Hang on. There you go. What I thought to do today would be to do a bit of a code review, a bit of cleanup, a bit of reflection on the code, as in, like, I just want to go through all the files, or as many as we can, give people a chance to ask some questions, kind of recap on what we've done, a bit of housekeeping, finish off some of the tests. We've got some tests that are disabled, we've got some tests that are a bit sad, and then I thought that's maybe kind of just refocus where we are on this, take a stream to kind of do some housekeeping, and then this is the sprint retro. Yes, please tell me what you find mad, bad, and sad, and glad about the code, and then we'll go from there. As spring has indeed sprung, we can do some spring cleaning. I think that'd be fun today. Just also kind of remind me where we are. I am also going to use this as a sort of opportunity to try and. I want to tidy up the code to release some subset of it, so without the assets and in a little bit more of a usable state. So this is a first pass of that. And then I think we can kind of get to the end of the stream and figure out what we want to do next, because we need to add more mechanics. We need to do collision detection, I think, as a kind of minimum. So we'll see. I guess first of all we could just run it, check it still builds and runs, and we can see where we are. So this is what we've got so far. So we've got camera, moves around. And then we've got some barrels, and they do interesting things. So the one on the right moves with the camera, the one on the left moves in the opposite way to the camera, and the one in the middle stays stationary. So this is what we've got so far. But the interesting thing is that these two outer barrels only, their modifier, their action is only performed when they're visible. So if I move this guy out of view and I move him over here, he remains there. It's actually a little bit more obvious if you put one of these on like the intersection of a checker. I can get pretty close to this guy and he still stays there. But as soon as I look at him again, he starts moving again. And I want to do something where they intersect. I think that'd be an interesting mechanic. Either that's the goal to get them to intersect, or that's like a hazard you have to avoid. I've really not thought too far ahead on this, but I think I'm almost at the point now where I can almost see something fun within here. So that's where we are. And we've written quite a lot of code to get that far. Is it lock I was using? C-lock. There are about 5,000 lines of code there or thereabouts, which I don't think is too bad for what we've got. Could be worse. Could be more. Okay, so let's start off with some of the maths classes. Is there a specific type of game already planned, or are we implementing things as we get an idea? It's kind of yes to both, I think, in that I wanted to make a puzzle game with interesting mechanics based on objects' movement and their relative position to you and what you can see, if that makes sense. I kind of like what we've got. The actual specifics of how that's all going to piece together, I have absolutely no idea. I've gotten about as far as I thought I would, and what's quite interesting is this is about the time I would normally get bored in a project to move on, but here we are with, already nearly 50 people so far, could be 100 by the end of the stream. So I'm kind of motivated to keep going and push through, and then it's actually a lot more fun with people around to chat to. So I'm interested in people's ideas. I think we can kind of iterate on them. My usual weasel words would be like, I cannot promise that everyone's idea would end up in the game, but I'm kind of happy to kick some ideas around and maybe iterate a little bit. What I want to do is get to a point where I can ship out a build to people and they can play it, and then each stream, like, we stream twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday. The idea would be like, we do some work Wednesday, people play it, and then we iterate on the feedback Sunday, and then kind of that kind of idea, sort of roughly, and then I think we can iterate on what is fun quite quickly. Yeah, kind of like Superliminal, but I imagine less good. Okay. Do I have any sort of entity system manager yet? What kind of design are you planning for that? None. So none in the game, and I'm not planning on doing any because I think the amount of entities that we're going to have are small enough that we can probably manage them ourselves without a really complex data structure. That doesn't mean like an ECS is inherently bad or wrong. It's probably a really good design when you've got lots of entities that all need to kind of be iterated over separately. But my plan is to be conceptually very simple, and I don't think the graphics are going to get much better than they are now. We've got HDR, so we've got tone mapping, we've got gamma correction, we've got a pretty basic forward renderer, not planning on having any transparency. I don't really, I'm not planning on doing PBR for this. I'm not planning on doing a deferred renderer for this. I'm definitely not planning on doing like a forward plus or forward clustering renderer. So I think like a couple of things in a scene at once that kind of move around with you will be quite easy to encapsulate in a simpler way. So that's kind of my plan. If we need it, we'll probably write it because I'm trying to write what I can from scratch, but it's not a problem I think we need to solve at the moment, if that makes sense. Oh, like a sort of entity manager. So at the moment what we've got is we have a transformed entity class which has a entity object, a bounding box, and then a transformer chain. The transformer chain is very much part of the game mechanics. It runs some collection of these lambdas in a chain, in a pipeline, and then we just have a a vector of these that we implement over, that we iterate over as we need to. And then the scene object takes a vector of pointers to entities to render, amongst a lot of other stuff like lights. Hello, Mario. So yeah, that's kind of what we got. So the skybox, we've got some debug stuff. We do have a debug UI that allows us to control certain parts of the scene, and then we've got a little event handler. So the window pumps an event, and then we can handle that based on our internal representation of that. So stop event, key event, mouse event, or mouse button event, and then we set up the walk direction, and then yeah, this is kind of the gameplay mechanics, I guess, at the moment. Everything else is just rendering, whereas this here, each entity has, you can't really tell, and I was trying to use it for debug. It actually turns out it's not particularly obvious, but each entity, each of those barrels has a light attached to it. And then we run the transformer, which updates its position based on whatever game mechanics are associated with it. We translate it, we update the AABB, we update the wireframe if we're rendering it, which was super useful for debugging my terrible frustum culling. And then we update their position and the light position. Mario resubscribed on Twitch. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Glad you're here. If you're not, if you are into Discord, there is a Discord, and there is a members only room as well. So make sure you get that if you are such inclined. And then we swap that, and then we've got some little bookkeeping. So the loop itself is pretty basic. Thanks. I'm glad someone's paying attention. But I think we're going to go right back to basics today. So we're going to go through some of the maths classes. So one of the other things I don't particularly like is the fact that kind of just bunged everything in source directory, and I've been slowly peeling them out into separate directories. So I want to start moving some of the maths over. We had to write a lot of maths quite quickly when we were doing the frustum culling. Like we had to quickly pull out of our arse a matrix 3 and a vector 4. So those could be better. You're in it. You're there, preaching to the choir. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have maths. I was toying with the idea of core, but I think core is a bit too generic. So I think vector, matrix, quaternion, frustum, AABB can all go into maths. And it's math. We've got more than one maths here. It's definitely plural. So let's do copy, source. Let's do vector. Vector 3 is probably one of the first maths classes that we wrote, so I think this is a good place to start. Source, maths. So this is gonna, everything's gonna go bad with this. Okay, so do a bit of a code review. So we've got an XYZ. Hang on, these red lines will disappear when my terrible tooling catches up. XYZ, they're public. I'm kind of okay with them being public in the sense that why write a getter and setter for something that is purely mutatable by the outside world and doesn't require any additional logic on the ins and outs of it. Most of this is const expr, which I like, which is why it's all in the header file. So kind of my preferred way of doing constructors is to have actually just one that does the logic and the rest just call that. So that's pretty fine. We take vector 4, got the length. So this, I don't really like having implementation details in the header files. I believe I'm somewhat constrained with const expr because the compiler needs to know the definition rather than wait till the linker. This isn't const expr because stud hypot isn't yet const expr, but I believe that's coming in 26. So I've kind of just left it in here. as this is basically already a header-only class, I've kind of committed to making everything else header-only rather than having like the worst of both worlds, which is where you've half in the header file and half in the CPU file. I'd rather all the definitions were together, ideally in a CPU file, but here we are. Float xyz says you give it one number and then it'll put it as all three components. So this just passes it on to this constructor, which then just passes it on to these values here. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to keep length as is because eventually that will become const expr. A decision I made early on was to keep a lot of the maths functions as static, and length could be that as well. So I kind of got a mismatch here, and I don't think I have a particularly strong intuition over which one is better or worse in this situation. I prefer classes to be small. I prefer non-friend, non-member functions first, which these aren't because they're static. So, but I think just having like a loose cross function without a better namespace isn't great. So I'm kind of happy to keep those static. So, you know, I think, what am I trying to say? I think if you're looking for a normalized function, I think looking within the vector3 is a fair place to look. I think just having a free normalized function just floating around might potentially be confusing, especially when you can normalize other things. Obviously, we'd have overloads, but I think vector3 : normalize isn't the worst thing in the world. Do I do : length? No, because I just think, based on other code I've seen and what people would expect, this seems better. I guess this is also const, whereas normalized would be non-const. And I'd rather have const methods only. I'd rather have the class be immutable, or at least functional as a const ref, I think. So this can't be const expr either because length can't be. Cross, apparently this works. We tested it and it's fine. I think Claude hallucinated a bit when I gave it this code. It was like, that's not the right implementation, but it definitely is because I went back and checked it. And then the same for dot. So you see now, should dot like length be a member function? So this is a great question. This comes up every time, and I'm really glad people ask this because it kind of means that you're new to the stream, or probably new to the stream. So this is called the trading return type. It came in C++11. It is absolutely no difference to this. I like a lot of things in software engineering. I'd like to try where possible to form my own opinion of it. So within C++, there are now kind of two ways of doing a function declaration. You can do the traditional type, or you can do the trading return type. I wanted to try this way, right, to see if I liked it, and I thought this would be a good project to do it. So I'm committed to doing it for the whole project to kind of get a good idea personally of whether I like it or not. I think I do. I found myself writing this outside of this project, just almost mechanically, like subconsciously. I think I prefer it. I think it reads more intuitive to me. I'm more interested in the name of the function and the arguments than the return value. I think in terms of cognitive, I've said this before, it's not maybe not the best reason, but it's the reason I've got. I think I'd rather read like normalize takes a v, returns a vector, than this thing returns a vector, it's called normalize and it takes a vector. You're free to form your own opinion on such matters. But what I care about more than anything is consistency, and I've kind of committed to doing this, so we are writing that now for the rest of the time. Ordered functions with two vector units that return a new vector flow well as member functions. but the normalized doesn't, as the name is ambiguous on whether it's a copy or modifying the instance. I think it's... I don't think it is ambiguous. Maybe it is from the name, but from the definition, it takes a const vector, so it cannot possibly mutate it. And then normalized as a adjective rather than a verb. So to me, normalized is a check if something is normalized, if that makes sense. But again, that's my opinion. Okay, I don't know if dot. I feel like dot maybe should be a member function. I probably don't care, and I think it's consistent enough. I think it's fine. Default operator, then we've got all the maths operators, and these work pretty well. I'm quite pleased with these. These do what I like to do with overloading, and actually you just define it in one and then reuse the other one, and then a formatter. Oh, I do want to redo the formatting at some point. I might do that towards the end, because I've been playing around with some code somewhere. I don't know if I've still got a copy of it, which creates a much more generic formatter using CPOs, customization point objects, so you don't have to do all this boilerplate every time you want to create a standard formatter for a new type. So I think I might go and do that at some point. I think Vector 3 is about as good as it's going to get. Like, we're going to just add more methods as we need to. So let's have a look at the tests. I think we've tested most things. I don't know why that's in there. Quick cleanup. So we've got the constructor, the value constructor, the components constructor. We haven't tested the vector 4 one. Is this because there's a circular reference? Give it a go. So const auto v equals game vector 3 game vector 4 1.0f 2.0f 3.0f 4.0f. Okay, and then I should be able to just test these. That works. Ooh, I don't. Ooh. It's been a long week. I will write this one command correctly in just a second. Apologies if you're screaming at the at me. I get I get your point. For me, I still think normalize gets you that because it's a static method. So vector 3 : normalize. I think that you would. I'd hope most people could intuit that is normalized, but again, you're free. You're absolutely free to disagree with me. Okay, so that works, and then cross addition, subtraction, negate. So I don't think we've got multiply, and we haven't done the other, like the addition assignment yet. So let's just quickly wrap those up. Yeah, I mean, again, I think you make a fair point. Most programming is kind of English first, and as a native speaker, I'd probably take a lot of that for granted. So v1, I'll probably v, and then do v plus equals, and then we should be able to just check that. Three. Then we'll do the same. Minus equals, and then okay. And then we'll do the multiplication as well. I think multiplication is component-wise, which kind of, it's a bit weird to say multiply vectors, but it's reasonably standard convention that you just do component-wise multiplication. Multiplication. And okay. Yeah, that's true. Dot and cross. Yeah, no, and I'm more than happy for people to provide their, like, the whole point of doing this live is to get other people's opinions. I value your input, and I think it's good to have the kind of discourse over it. I'm not going to change it, but I think it's worth having a discussion over it. Because, like, I'm absolutely not not right in most of what I do. Okay, let's see if I can do any of this multiplication in my head. So that's going to be 8. Pretty sure I can do that one. 6 12s are 6, 5, 72? I think. Nailed it. And then we've got operator minus. I've not tested the formatter because it's only really used for debugging anyway, and I think you'd know pretty soon if it was wrong. Am I just making excuses for not writing another test? I think I'm just making excuses for not writing another test. Let's just do it. Do format, and then we do what? Const auto v equals game vector 3 1.0 f 2.0 f 3.0 f. Then assert equals stud format v, and then is this gonna work? I might need to convert this to a string view. Yeah, I think I'll put this in now. Unless it's an absolute pain, and then in which case I won't. But when we pull the formatting out into its... in fact, actually, no. Because I plan on putting the formatting out into its own utility anyway, we'll test that. And then it'll make sense what else we need to test in the other classes then. So that's okay. Okay, so let's just... Have we? I've just realised something. I moved the vector file, but everything is still building. I copied it, didn't I? But there's still a vector 3 in here. Yeah, there it is. Right, okay. It's actually not... So this should explode outwards. Just don't know what I'm doing. Right, okay. So I'm going to try and do this with Vim again. It always explodes in like a horrible mess. But let's try... vector3.h. So this should be all the includes of vector3.h. So I think I can do Control Q and CDO %s dollar vector3 dollar here we go source slash vector3 $G. Right. cdo find and replace vector3 with source vector3. And it is, yes, already spotted it. I'm glad. Maths. I'm going to run this on all the code and hope for the best. What do we think? We happy? It's given up. The compiler's like, no. Oh, this does not bode well. This. I should have done it on one first, but I'm always like, fortune favors the brave. See what mess I've made. That's right, isn't it? Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, you're right. I didn't put case insensitive on, so it's found all the vector. Oh. Well, now we can spend the rest of the stream fixing this hot mess. I think I can literally just revert everything apart from the test. I don't think... Oh, sweet lord. Oh, it's done it in async as well. So I need to check for the... What an absolute... Oh, right. I think the only thing I don't want to revert is the tests. Because we didn't actually change anything in vector 3, right, other than move it. So I think I can just reset. No, I want to just reset individual file, discard. That's what I want. Leave that. Move that. One day I'll learn. But today is not that day. Because you know I'm just going to go and do it again, right? You know I'm literally just going to go and do it again and just hope I get it right the next time. Nailed it. It's as if it never happened. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's let's search for everything where we hash sorry, vector3.h. Okay. See, so what's case sensitive? Is it -I at the end? Or is it -C? I think it's -I, isn't it? Or is that... Are we saying it's \C at the beginning? Okay. %s. Do vector 3 with math vector 3. But I don't want to get game code on vector 3, right? Oh, as in the include. Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. So let's do $, search for vector3.h. I think that is actually better. $, maths vector3.h, vector3.h. Find and replace all the string literals, including the quotes vector3.h with maths/vector3.h. I know it looks better, but I thought the first one looked pretty good. What have I done wrong? Oh, if I... No, don't run it again. I want you just to bring the command back. Right, here we go. Right. As if that was... Third time's the charm. Hey. If I just... Just try that again. You'd have done it already if you've done it by hand. Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is the automation. Think how much more satisfying it is when I get the computer to do all the menial tasks for me. But one day, if I try really hard and I practice every day and, you know, really commit to it, one day I'll get my find and replace command right first time, and then it'll be faster. So it's all just in service to the end goal. Claude. His 5,000 lines of pretty terrible, okay-ish C++. Please refactor it. Agreed. Agreed. It's the fun. The thrill of the chase. That's fun. We just peeked into 100 viewers across both platforms just to see me fail to find and replace. One day we can fix that warning as part of this if it's really bothering people. Someone said there was a CMake flag you could pass in that fixed it. I think Matthias just subscribed. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Why do I have MSVC compiler flags? Because I'm using MSVC. Can you remember what the magical rune was? And I'll give that a go and see if it fixes it after I comment up all this. So what? So what? Move vector 3 and improve tests. What a great commit. What's the point of using Windows if you're using WSL anyway? I don't. As in, because my host machine, Windows is where all my stuff is. It's just what my host machine is. No, I have a pretty weird dev setup. I've chosen, for better or worse, I prefer the dev environment of Linux, so I prefer NeoVim and Tmux, but I want to build for Windows and I want to use the native Windows compiler, so I'm using MSVC under Wine. You may interpret that however you wish. It's pretty cursed. I've told you the reason I do this, though, is because I suspect a lot of people will watch this and hopefully, I'd hope that people watch this and be inspired to try out some of it for themselves. And if you're reasonably new to programming or C++ and you're on Windows, which I think is a reasonable, a fair assumption, or definitely a high likelihood, you'll probably end up just installing the Windows MSVC compiler. So therefore, everything I do, hopefully, is reproducible for you because I'm using like what would be a reasonably common starter setup. You know, if someone was like, I can't get any of his code to work, and I'd be like, oh well, have you installed Clang cross-compile from Windows? And it's not a big deal, and you could definitely fix it with documentation. But I just think, in my mind, that's kind of the initial setup that I want. Is kind of that path of least resistance. So on Windows using WSL but compiling using MSVC through Wine. Yes, that is exactly what I'm doing. Is it easy to get NeoVim to play nicely with MSVC and ClangD? Yes, it just literally just works out the box. It's actually quite incredible. I was very surprised, which is why if the tooling was terrible, I wouldn't have done it. I'm going to ignore that because that is as an uncomfortable truth I'm not prepared to admit. So, right, compiler warnings. Someone give me the magical rune that I'm missing to make this work. Because other than that, I could just drop Z7 off of it and then throw an exception and check that we still get the stack trace. Well, let's just try that first because we might not need that. Yes. Okay, I will try that next. I just thought that if I don't need to modify the compiler, the link flags, sorry, is it link flag? The compiler flags, I probably shouldn't. Hot take. So this seems better. So now what I've got to do is check that the original problem we were trying to solve, which actually this might not have been the solution to, but I was reticent to change it. We also had to mount I had to mount WSL as the Z drive. No, MSVC under Wine will just work on any Linux. I say, well, I'm loath to give like broad strokes. Like this will always work, but I believe it should work under most Linux distros. Okay, let's just try it. So main and then insert frustrum, and then just like throw game exception no. Thank you, obviously. Okay, just throw it. Hey Harry, glad you're here. No raids? Okay, right. Source. Okay, that looks good to me. We might need to. I do want to clean up this as well, so it doesn't have the full path in it. But that seems pretty good. We got a function name, we got a line number. Sorry, we got a file name, a line number, and a function name. There you go, and byte offset. Okay, well, good luck. Okay, cool. So hopefully everyone can stop cursing me now that the fix remove unneeded compiler flag. No, wrong tense. I prefer to write my git commits in present tense, but part of me thinks they maybe should they be past tense if it's a record? Don't know. It's probably almost certainly not worth thinking about. Right. Okay. I guess it does make sense because it's a log of things you've done. Well, we've as with anything in programming where there's more than one way to do something, we've immediately arrived at a situation where two people do both. So that's fine. Better than these const and const swears. Right. I'll tell her. The problem I have with East const is that I think it reads the wrong way in English, and I think about this a lot about like how easy code is to read, and I'd rather read here a const AABB than an AABB that is const. Tabs, you know, another great one. I won't even start on my opinion on exceptions. That's always a good way to divide a room really quickly with me on one side and everyone else on the other. I'm glad I've stoked the fire in the comments, so now people will be too busy arguing to notice my terrible code. Okay, let's review. I'm trying to think of the order that we kind of wrote these things in. So I guess matrix 4 will probably be next. There is actually something I want to change in matrix 4. Like fundamentally, here we go. Right, here we go. I had to disable the matrix 4 tests because they were grumpy. So we should fix these up because I changed one of the constructors and I didn't like the change at the time, but it was absolutely the path of least resistance to getting us through whatever issue we had then. So I'm going to need to bring that back or fix it. No, I dual stream, multi-stream, whatever the correct word is, on Twitch and YouTube. I have more people tend to watch on YouTube, but I think that's just because I have an existing audience there. But the numbers are getting a bit closer. It's about 1-to-2 ratio at the moment. Fight. It's funny because I can see the tool I use interleaves both the chats, so I just see it as one continuous. So I am ambivalent to the I care not from where you are. Great, yeah. That my life goal is to end up on livestream fail for people on Reddit to be mean to me. I get enough of that in the comments of regular videos without inciting more. Yeah, coloured icons. Fair enough. Okay, so originally we had a constructor back to C++. I've got, I assume that's why people hit. Literally 7 people have just like, nope. 15 people have just dropped off YouTube, and they've not gone over to Twitch, so they clearly do not care for my hot take on exceptions, which is really funny. I try not to pay too much attention to the numbers. Excuse me. Anyway, so Matrix is I don't know why it's a class and not a struct. Like, oh, because I wanted to deliberately prevent access to the elements. I wanted to go through the square brackets operator. I think that's more intuitive of what you expect from Matrix, and it would allow us to potentially have like a row column indexer as well. Not that I ever did it, so I'm not going to change that. I originally had a constructor that took a stud array because that would allow you to set the initial values, and it was useful in certain construction cases. However, at some point, and I can't remember why, I had to move to a span. I think it was because I was generating elements in something that wasn't an array, and I needed to push those into the matrix, and the span makes more sense because it should be any collection. And then all the tests broke because it now doesn't like this syntax. And I suppose I have to look at the errors. I'm not sure why, because this should deduce to an initializer list. Or is it trying to match that to a span and it's going, there's no constructor? I expect that's actually the issue. So I might have to add the array back in. Would it make sense to have a fixed size span? No, because I think the thing I was generating from was not fixed size, or the compiler could not infer the size, therefore it would not pick that constructor. So I think dynamic is still the right choice for the flexibility we want. Span has... Right, well, let's just have a look at the error. Ugh. Right. Cannot... You see, look, cannot convert from initializer list to matrix 4. No... Oh, thanks, it's gone. Thanks. No overload function convert all the icons. Oh, I really hate that. Every time I highlight it, it moves away. Thanks. What was I saying about how I preferred the Linux dev environment? Someone's going to say here you go, look, cannot convert initializer list to const, span, const, float, dynamic extents. Function does not take 16 arguments. So it takes. So it will take an stood array. It will take a compile time known sized array. There's got to be a better way of saying that. It will take a span, like an iterator and a sentinel. It will take an iterator and another span, but it won't take an initialized list. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot we could do here. So hang on, let me just look at the docs for stood span. This is where the fun is. I wonder if. So hang on, let me get up a thing. Ooh. I wonder. So this. I think it's this, right? Is it? Because I got dynamic extent, it won't pick the initialized list because maybe it can't figure out the size. Although initialized list will have a begin and end, right? Or stood distance will work on it, or stood range's size. Oh, it's 26. I wonder if I haven't got it. Oh, sorry, you're right. It is only explicit if that's the case. But yeah, I reckon I don't have it. Which is fun. I could just... Can I just... bring back... stood array float 16u elements. All right. So one of the things I like about MSVC is their library implementation tends to be pretty up to date, but I know that from something in their GitHub, they are not working on any 26 features till they are feature complete on 23, which I think still means flat map and start lifetime from. So I think once those are done, STL will allow his team to work on 26, is my understanding. So I guess it's handled to those. I got circular, but I can't figure out which one's which. Wait a minute, is it because I'm calling it internally and it can't work out which is... Yeah, it won't do the... Fine. Yeah, I think, yes, I think it even says in their docs, like start lifetime from has to use compiler magic. I think most compilers already have an intrinsic which does it, so it's just so maybe it's just wrapping that, because I believe Kai and GCC, you can already get that through compiler intrinsics, but yeah, it is compiler magic. Nailed it. Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. Am I being silly? In fact, actually, I should have known that because I just read through the error message saying it had that. Oh, we get to do a global find and replace in a second. That'll be fun. Oh, people on YouTube have returned. That's nice. Hello again. Maybe you just took a break. Okay, nice. That fixes up a lot of what I didn't like. I mean, 3 of them. I mean, 3 of what? Sorry, I missed a step here. Can I do this with type deduction rules instead? Can I? I guess it's because it's not a template. It won't be deducing it. Thank you for becoming a member. Much appreciated. Yeah, you're right. Okay, we could be... I'm bike shading now. Can this be const bruh if I make the stud... If I just manually roll the stud mem copy? Oh, I bet it can't be anyway because of the insure, because that throws an exception. So that's fine. Yeah, okay, fine. That's a shame. I think we're getting const explorer exceptions in 26, right? Is that a fever dream I've had? Did I make that up? Okay, that's grim, but it works. That's grim, but it works. That's a little better. That's grim, but I think it works. Okay, so then we've got the static ones for helping building stuff. We've got the data, which gets us the span over the elements. We've got the deducing this square brackets operator, or what's it called? Like index operator. We can get a row. And then we have times equals and times, and then look at, and then perspective, and then the formatter. Nice, cool. Looking forward to that. I was at CPPCon 2018, I want to say. It was the last one in Seattle, and there was a talk there from one of the Apple compiler devs talking about const explorer, and that was when they were first talking about const explorer vector and string and what all that would look like. And then he sort of finished the talk with, I'm kind of mulling over in my mind what about const explorer std thread, and he's like, I'm not really sure what that looks like, because what happens if you deadlock your compiler, but it said it's quite an interesting thought experiment. And I think about that quite a lot. I think about const explorer std thread more than I should, as what an absolutely terrifying concept, but would be absolutely amazing if it worked. So, but yeah. Okay, anyway, so this works. It's not great, but it works. I've also just realised we changed the implementation of this because we thought there was a bug there, but the test still passed. So I guess we I guess it's still the same implementation, I guess, unless I didn't test it. Oh, no, I did test it. Okay, let's go add some extra tests for this. This is a little bit tedious, this, but I really want to get this tested and done. Test matrix for default CTOR. Oh, sorry, that's probably the identity CTOR, isn't it? Identity CTOR. I'm glad you guys are along to keep me company while I write a load of missing tests that I should definitely have done when we first wrote the class. And if you're doing cooperative multitasking, you shouldn't be using coroutines at that point. Pattern matching. I know someone who's working on that, or was working on it, and it's a bit of I think it's stalled. Maybe coroutines should be const expr. Okay, const auto m equals game matrix 4, and then let's do const auto expected equals stirred array float 16u. Then it's going to be like 1.0f, 0.0f, 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 1.0f, 1.0f, 0.0f, 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 0.0f. So if this test fails, then we are in big trouble. Yeah, I know it's unused. Give me a second. Assert equal m dot data. I guess this also technically tests the. Is that going to work for me? I haven't decided on Bloom yet. We have most of the framework set up. We could add another stage to the rendering pipeline. It's all HDR, so we could. I've just not done it because I've not needed it yet, but we might add it later. Okay, fine. Maybe I'm a bit out of date. The last I knew on pattern matching was it got quite stalled on some parts of it. I think like how to handle go-tos or something, but maybe maybe I'm a bit out of the loop, but I knew it was having a bit of a tumultuous time. What have I done? Oh, you can't just do that, can you? M dot data assert equals the memcomp result dot data expected dot data result dot size bytes and assert equal result dot size expected dot size, and for that I'm going to want C string. I think go-to statements are I hesitant to say correct. my preferred way of handling errors in C, and I think there's almost no use for them in C++. My hot take. 0. I mean, what do you mean it's what? Oh, hang on. No, it is right. I think memcomp's in C string, isn't it? Nailed it. So we got the one for elements. So element ctor. I'm gonna let's do this. Reuse that, and oh, steady. F 5.0, F 6.0, F 7.0, F 8.0, F 9.0, F 10.0, F 11.0, F 12.0, F 13.0, F. Have I too many on that line? I haven't I? Let's say, because one should end in an even number. 13, 14.0 F, 15.0 F, 16.0 F. Right. So that should just work. Nope, 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 nope. That should just work. I'm not using memcopy. Yeah, also string copy and compa for comparing and copying strings, whereas I'm not doing strings, I'm using mem, so I need to be able to handle the null byte. Otherwise the string copy or string comp, whatever, will just stop at the first null byte and be like, I'm done. Right, let me... wow, we are further in than I thought, and not nearly as far as I thought. So we'll. Well, I did say what I would be doing is splitting these. Try and do the odd stream, like every third stream, where we do a spring cleaning one. So we'll get as far as we can with this, and then we'll go back to doing some game dev stuff for the next one. But we'll keep going for a little bit. I don't think there is a function called string copy. There's string colon copy, maybe, and there's stud copy. Again, I'm not copying strings. Okay, so let's do test matrix for incorrect element size ctor. Okay, I can never remember what it is. Gtest expect throw. Is it just expect throw? So I should be able to do. Oh, I can't do it with the curly braces. Okay, fine. All my thinking. So let's make this like 1. And then I should be able to do expect throw. And that should be what? Game exception? Is it a type or is it a equally comparable like? Yeah, I could use a stood ranges copy. Maybe I'd prefer that. Let me get this test working, and then I'll have to think about it. I suspect memcopy was written pretty quickly to solve whatever problem we had at the time, and I would prefer ranges. Can I not? Thanks. Let me have a look. Discord has died. Can you do it around a constructor? Or is it? Thanks, AC, for coming along. No worries. Can you expect throw on a constructor? Because what I'd want to do is this, but I think this then makes it even worse. Oh no, okay, fine. Nice, nailed it. Still, no, we're way beyond that. We are cleaning up code now. So it's going to be elements. Will it take 2 ranges like that? We'll take a range and a output iterator. So I should be able to do stood ranges begin. No, hang on. What am I doing? Elements stood ranges begin elements. Where's that warning come? Does that warning come back, or am I going mad? Haha! Found you. Yes, yes. I'm. Yeah, I need to move this into the maths folder. Okay, let me. which was the... Oh, it's literally the last one. Okay, fine. That's even easier. I was like, I'm going to have to interactive rebase, but no, I think I can just add that and then amend that commit. Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah, good suggestion. I much prefer the Rangers copy, so that's nice. Where else are we at? So we got that. And we got multiplier sign. So hey, have I just checked it multiplies with the identity and gives the same one? I feel that's a really bad test, isn't it? Yeah, thanks. I agree. That is a shite test. Let's fix that. I'll use this to test it. If we construct these, this is mat3s. Okay, fine. Let's Emery, sorry, I've missed just in your message, and thanks for resubscribing on YouTube, much appreciated. No, I'm using this stream as just a bit of a general spring clean, code review, fix up some of the tests, kind of get back into the swing of it, so not too much, and we've just been discussing several C++ hot takes. Yes, I probably should switch that to Rangers instead of the memcomp. That is a good point. But I'm onto this now. I'll try and remember to come back to that. Const auto m1 equals glm mat 4, and this is going to be 1.0f, 3.0f, 4.0f, 5.0f, 6.0f. I already have this, don't I? Oh, steady, steady. Well, I'm glad you're around for a little bit longer. That's nice. Why do I use auto? I think it produces more readable code. With certainly less typing, because some C++ types can get quite long. So using auto, which is effectively the same as var in C#, just does the type deduction for you. There are some potential niceties to it. If you do auto x equals foo, and then you change the function, the return value of foo, then you don't have to go and update the call site. Some might argue you should, because potentially your predicates or your invariants have changed. I just habitually write it because I think it makes it I think it's easier to type, it's easier to read, and I think it's just a bit nicer. Okay, so these will look like relatively whole numbers, so I don't have to do the whole float equals nearest shenanigans. Okay. Get there in a minute. Okay, and then I think that's all right. I know that's double. I suppose it doesn't actually matter because I can. Let's just tidy this up so it looks a bit more like how I would have written it. Okay. And then I just need to do one of those, one of these, one of the other, F1, R2. I've been watching back some of my streams, not out of vanity thing, but more just because I'm editing shorts from it. And I don't know, I think I mutter a lot of Vim commands under my breath as I'm typing. It's like, oh, X, Y, C, yeah, press that, and I don't know. I thought it was a bit strange. I don't know if anyone else has noticed and has opinions on it. That is not the matrix I wanted. I wanted this. Already made a mistake. Outstanding. Off to a grand start. I'm sure I can do this all in one line. Replace all the... Oh, have I done that in both? Ended up with 15.5. I have, it doesn't matter. Okay. Try to get out of the habit of using the mouse as well. Have you used std array? Is it better than order array? It is a... Is it the dot? So, oh, sorry, Martin. Is it the .s that makes it only on one line, and the %s that makes it over the whole file? Because my worry is that I just replace all the zeros and fives, and as we've seen so far, I'm not very good at finding and replace. It's a little bit too complex for me. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. I'll try that on the next one. We've never used std array. Is it better than ordinary array? Std array is designed to be a thin wrapper around std array, so you should, in theory, gives you the same thing. I've gone on limb and say probably compiles to the same or very similar. The difference is you can pass it to a function without it decaying to a pointer, so you maintain the size. I think there are certain situations where it plays better with the algorithms and the other parts of the standard library, but I couldn't think of a situation off the top of my head where that is definitely the case. But yeah. Does it do bounds checking? Only if you ask it to. So if you call .at with an index, it will do bounds checking. If you use square brackets, it will not do bounds checking. Multiply sign. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. CF2 M F equals star. And then 21. Right. Yeah, I mean the original decision is that like you don't pay for what you don't use, so balance checking should be opt in rather than opt out. I think that's wrong. It is undefined behavior to access data beyond the bounds, but the problem is that like it'll probably work unless you hit a page boundary. There's going to be memory beyond that array, so it's probably going to work. And it's undefined behavior, so your whole program is undefined. It probably won't crash. Yes, of course, contracts. I must read up on contracts. I'm kind of not, I must admit, it's an upcoming area of the language I'm not that familiar with. Yeah, I mean, measure everything, right? I think someone was telling me the other day that like C# does a lot of work under the hood to elide and remove bounds checking when it knows they're not needed for performance. So there's obviously potentially some impact, but yeah, I agree. I think you should just not let people read outside their memory unless they really, really want to. I think gtest allows you to parallelize runs. I'm sure there's a rune you can draw in the sand to sort of summon that. Okay, so we tested the look at, we tested the perspective. That's kind of it. Oh, I was only going to try it if I needed it, but I've not needed it yet. But that's a good point. Okay, right. So, how are we looking at? I think this is pretty good now. I'm quite happy with this. I think we can just try moving the file now and fixing up all those errors. Yeah, let's move it. Move source matrix 4 to source maths. Should also remove from the main CPP and put it into their own file. I'm going to pull out some like game specific objects and abstractions soon, so I think that'll just happen naturally, if that's what you mean. All right, let's try this again. Not that many. So you do %s dollar matrix 4.h dollar maths matrix 4.h g. Okay, find and replace matrix 4h string literal including quotes with maths / matrix 4h literal including quotes. How's the compile time grown over the course of the streams? I don't think the compile time is too bad because when we rebuild like the main offender, I think of like in terms of like single big contributing factors is async, and as that's now in a separate tool as part of the asset pipeline, we don't have to rebuild it that often. It's slowly getting bigger, but like I don't think it's egregious yet. Most of the time, the biggest problem is when my tooling just stops recognizing CMake command entirely, and I have to rerun CMake, the initial CMake command. When is audio being added? When we need to. I'm not quite there yet. I think that'll be much further down the line. I don't know. I kind of want to give it a go of doing it with the Win32 API just because we've been doing a lot of stuff from scratch, and I'm kind of tempted just to see how miserable it is. Yeah, but might be fun. Also, I don't know how I'm going to do that with streams because I normally have all my audio disabled. Guess I have to figure out how to patch that through. I think we might. I've never done any audio programming before. Like a lot of this I have some experience of. I've done OpenGL before. I've done font rendering before. I've done some of the maths before. I think a lot of the things that I've kind of done, I've integrated with Physics Engine, not with Jolt, that was new, but I've done Bullet. So I think audio is something I've never tried before. So I would be tempted to just give it a go live and just see where we get to. So to get the Windows specific headers, I use MSVC Wine, and it just brings them in, and ClangD just picks them up. Well, I lie. For the last video where I made the game that fits inside the thumbnail, I did do audio programming with some ancient Windows API that's single-threaded and blocking, and was absolute misery, and can only play MIDI tones. So I lie. I have done some audio programming in Windows. I wouldn't say it was very good. Yeah, the ship a game goal kind of was also like only write code that we need. So it's only write code that we need that takes us towards the game, but also write as much stuff from scratch as possible. So where we kind of didn't do image decoders, including pings, and physics, I'll take a view on when we get closer to the time. But also, again, like it's kind of I feel like some people are interested in watching, like seeing how I approach problems, and that is a brand new problem to me. So I think it might be kind of fun to bash my head against it, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I'm not too worried about it at the moment. What I do need to do is commit up all this. 3 and okay. What to do next? Probably about another 30-40 minutes, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I find a lot of people come watch me to procrastinate doing what they should be doing. So I hate to think what my effect on people's productivity is. I think we should at least, even if we don't review all the tests now, I think we should at least move all the now that we've created that maths folder, we should at least finish moving everything into that. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll see what time we've got left, because I do want to have a look at playing around with the formatter. but that might be a little bit longer than I thought. Anyway, let's everyone's favorite class. Right. I feel like if I just redo the previous one, I can't possibly go wrong. Yes, well, there's always that possibility. That's the look I get when I'm really confused by something, really trying to make sure I don't make a mistake. This is when I'm in a prod box and making sure I don't fat finger the command in, which I've definitely done before. Cheeky Nando's, all four, 100% up for, but it's got to be extra hot. I will accept nothing less than the highest level of heat. AST doesn't like it. If we get 1 million subscribers, yes, fine. I'll do. I'll order Nando's and do a live stream eating it. Yeah, fine. It's fine. As long as you got the side of the coleslaw and some garlic bread, it's fine. The peri chips are good, but need something to counteract the heat and the extra hot chicken, which is the reason I'm there. I actually went to go. This is totally irrelevant to everyone, and apologies if none of this makes any sense to you outside the UK. But I went to go with my family the other day, and the lady at the front desk, the concierge, she was like, "Just to let you know, we've had a supply chain issue, and we have no chicken." I was like, "But all you sell is chicken. Doesn't really leave me a lot of options now. I'm not here just for the garlic bread." Yeah, I know, right? So, needless to say, we left. Alright, it's because this file doesn't exist anymore because I've moved it, obviously. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Why? Ugh, fine. I'll mend you. Okay, right. I think we're nearly there. Move. Source. vector 4 to source maths. At least these are all header only files, so I don't have to update the CMake files as well, which I guess is nice. Okay, so SG. Not many places include vector 4. Could almost just go and do those manually. I won't, but I could. Oh, well, hang on. What am I doing? Press the wrong button. Vector 4.hq. Oh, right. Hey. Fat finger the numbering. That's alright. I think it's going to work out okay. I'm waiting for my invitation to hot ones. If something's not working out as expected, do you sometimes build a clean project just to test that particular thing on a cleaner plate? Yeah, I would say Godbolt first. I have done that before if it's easier, but ideally I'll try and create a test first and make that like the small use case. But it really depends on where you are. But yeah, if I can get into Godbolt, then sure. CompDB is a tool that will update your compile commands.json file to include header only files, because by default compile commands only includes translation units. If you have code that's in a header, then you don't get those, and ClangD doesn't like it. And I don't know, we've discussed this before, and like it seems to be just a unique problem, not a unique problem to me, but people seem to say that ClangD should just figure this out, but it definitely doesn't for me, so I have to kind of enrich the output of CMake with the header only files. Yeah, it will find the stuff in the header file, basically. Vector 3. I like the Pyrenees. I think it's good. It's definitely worth trying. Is it just the matrix 3 to source? And again, there's not really many uses of this either. I might just do these manually. How much hair did I lose when I realised the debug line was red in RenderDoc? I lost a lot of my sanity and my will to live, and I think a lot of my hair went with it. Have I... what's wrong with the last commit message? Oh, yes, good point. There you go. Watch, did I get this one wrong? Move. Oh, no, I've made the other one wrong, haven't I? This is matrix 3, and then... There we go. the art to writing good commit messages. Oh wait, I've got some more to do, haven't I? I want to move source. It's not. I don't have something weird in like game. Yeah, I've got like AABB, and I don't know why I put that in there. So let's just move that to source. Maths. So. A.H. Main A.H game main. Okay, nice. Ugh, because yes. I don't know why. It's been a long day. It's because I saw it in the main file and I was like, yes, that's what I want. And it's absolutely not what I want. Not even a little bit. Not even close. Did I miss another one? Thank you. In main. That's what I was like, oh. Obviously want to name it the where I am rather than where it is. Outrageous. You shouldn't let other people write code. Error messages are hard. You've got the ever classic Microsoft error success. It's not really an error then, is it? Okay. Frustrum plane. So that's that will require. Hang on. And do I sort includes alphabetically by usage or by location? Only one is correct. I sort by this is not the best example. I have standard library first, then platform, then third party, then project, all included, all sorted by alphabetical in their subcategories. Except for sometimes when Windows has to be before because it's special and likes to be treated special. So in which case then that will violate the rule and you have to do it that way. But yeah, that's my rule is, I think it's kind of like most to least specific. Like every C++ program will have access to all the standard headers, and then you'll have the platform specific ones depending on what platform you're on, and then third party ones specific to which third parties are included, and then just the project ones which are just specific to your project. I'm not sure that is in any way justifiable. The first C++ project I ever worked on professionally did that, and it's just stuck with me. Yes, Jolt was also has a special Snowflake header file. I think we do Win32 lean and mean in the CMake file, or at least we do no min max. I should probably add that. I should add lean and mean. But yeah, that's my preferred method. I do try and stitch that where possible. The tooling automatically sorts them alphabetically, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I will try and do language, platform, third-party, project. You've got to have a system, even if it doesn't make any sense. You've got to have a system, otherwise they'll be all over the place. It'll be absolute madness. Absolute madness. What was I doing? I sort of lost the plot of it today. Right, okay. Move source, frustrum. Anything else I need to do before this? Is frustrum literally the last one? Okay. I can't tell if you're joking or not with length of characters. I really genuinely can't tell whether that that is how you're being serious. So I need to do E. So let's do copy source graphics CMake. Yeah. Ooh. I literally had it. It was literally there. To maths. FG. CMake. So I'll need to add maths. I like to keep these sorted as well. Let's just, and then like these sorted. I like to just keep things sorted. It's fine. I appreciate it. I was, you know, when you're like 95% sure it's a joke, but it's. I couldn't fully convince myself in my head that that wasn't how you chose to write code. What am I doing? Sorry, I'll get there in a minute. So somewhere in source gain. What? Frustrum. Where is that? Where is that built? Am I going mad? Oh, it's in here. Okay. Oh, of course, because it. No, I'm going mad. E source. Nope. CMake maths. Right, I think we're nearly there. So that's G frustrum plain.h q. Right. Keep your eyes peeled. Frustum plain.h to maths. Frustum. A temptation to put that second R in there. Again, like, have I typed maths, or are you just trying to derail me? Because either way is fine. One is definitely more funny than the other. Should I replay that back and see what it does? Okay, and let's check it still blends. That's spot on. Doing good for time. Helps if I press enter. I literally have no idea what I'm doing. Don't know why anyone even bothers showing up watching. Right. And then if I get one of these on like across, stop looking at him, he keeps moving. He is. And if I stop looking at him, he stays where he is. I do think maybe trying to get them all so they all have to hit, like, cause, I don't know, this is kind of fun, but doing what I just did there, so they all had like, they all have to hit like a plate on the floor all at exactly the same time. So you have to try and like think, oh, this one needs to be lined up like here, then I need to stop looking at this and move this one over, and then look at this and shuffle this one over, and then like, okay, like now together we can get them all to line up. I think it's something like that. So yeah, I'm thinking something like that. We're definitely getting there. No, it's all going to be Euclidean space. I'm not doing anything too fruity. Oh, the flickering line is me drawing the view frustum. Obviously, you only see literally like right at the border because everything else is exactly what you can see. So yeah, that's just that. We can remove that flickering line later. Like that's an interesting point. Like I think we could do something with like, if not lights or colors, but you know, like certain barrels have to go in certain places, or you have to combine them. I think there's definitely like opportunities for that. But yeah, some of these lights are a little bit hard to spot. Maybe if we make it like, I don't know. I don't really know what any of these numbers mean. Okay, that's a little bit better. Maybe it's just the color. Having a vibrant yellow is a little bit better. But yeah, I can kind of see it and see it interacting with the others. Let's just change my gamma. Whoop. Oh, atmospheric. Got day-night cycle. Okay, I'll stop. I feel like I could add lights. Anyway. I've never mapped a tone quite as hard as I have in this. You're making the game part now. Yes, we're kind of at the mechanics part. So what I've done today is largely just bookkeeping, because I just wanted to tidy up some stuff and move it around. It's still not perfect. I think in a few streams time we'll go through some more stuff, but I'm kind of pleased with that. I'm not going to have time to do the formatting stuff now. Yeah, do we need all these info logs? Probably not. So let's go through, because a lot of this was... What's that? I think new material uniform count is kind of okay to leave in. I don't mind that. But anything that's D, which debug, should be removed. Also, what is this without going through the logging? What is this? I'm also going to go through whilst we're here and just move this just down to the file name, because that is a little bit egregious. Oh yeah, it's got third-party includes here, but I don't have any platform includes, so it doesn't really help. It doesn't really showcase exactly what I was talking about. Log. Yeah, what a nightmare that was. That feels like a fever dream. That's ages ago. Okay, so now let's. Shoot, did I not finish? I committed all this. Okay, fine. Sorry. Okay, that's right. So commit, move, frustum plane. Okay. Commit, clean up, logging, and then okay. File name is a const char stub. I think I can. Let's do this. File system lot dot. Okay. A little bit surprised it doesn't return something like the file system primitive. That's not what I want. And then can I just do path dot? Is it root name? Is it dot file name? Am I been stupid? Oh, because this is a path and you can't format paths until C++ 26. Obviously, is it just file name? Oh, it is file name. Okay. And then I need to do dot string. I suppose I could take it to C-str without doing an allocation. Yeah. Let's see if it works first. I'm going to change it. Const expert if's not really like switch statements. Const expert if will only compile that branch if the compiler evaluates the conditional to true. So you can use it to selectively include what you do and don't compile. Oh yeah, much better. I feel like these should be emojis, but maybe next time. Kind of, yeah, similar. I guess conceptually similar to if, but more powerful because you can call and evaluate functions, whereas hashif is just a copy and paste, right? I guess that probably should be C-str just for efficiency. I'm not too fussed, but let's try and keep it efficient. Like, there's no need to be inefficient if we know we don't need to be. I think that's a sentence. Pretty sure you can do that. I mean, it's infinitely more efficient if it never runs. I don't think I care, but I am curious. No, I just... Where's the... There's the list of things that can be formatted. Make format args. Right, there's got to be a list of things you can format. Like it is absolutely gross, isn't it? It shouldn't be anything to do with wide strings, because I think it's just basic format string rather than basic format was string. Stood formatter overloads. Yeah, you could be right. Okay, there's formattable concept and formatter. There we go. I mean, like, I'm struggling to even. Pass is not a member of formatter. Normally, you get this error when it can't format something, and this is just its very, very unhelpful way of telling you. Well, it's got a format checker here. It's like char, const will char t, unsigned int. I mean, A? It is like it. I don't get this. Obviously, this is clearly in an implementation detail. I just want to know. I just want to know what the error. Like, just tell me why you didn't like it. Don't tell me all the things you tried. Don't give me all the expansions. Just like, what is it specifically you have a problem with? Pass is not a member of formatter. Char T. Right. So this will be the built-in formatter overload for char T, and it's like it doesn't have a pass method, which presumably means it can't construct it. Like, what does? Like, I wonder if this will give me a better error message. Unless it is a wide string because it's coming from the platform, but that would no, surely not. Because what Microsoft does love its wide strings. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, these are the types it's trying to format the whole thing, isn't it? Char unsigned int basic string, right? Unsigned int. So why is it thinking this is a char? Unsigned int basic string. So that is that there is these three types. Hang on, am I also? What have I missed? You've put in an extra. Which also makes sense because I was like, where's the other argument gone? So that there. Oh, of course, right, okay, yeah. Okay, fine. Right, okay. Well, I thought I was going to go out and get a beer, but it turns out now I'm fucking around with this. Yeah, why is it deducing this string view to a char? What have I missed? You see? What is that? You see this error because arg ID is out of range. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, but is that in form? That's in formatter though, isn't it? I feel like I'm getting further and further from the truth here. Message is the format string that you pass in to the exception, to the log, sorry. And this adds these extra bits on. But right, look. What I'm saying, what I don't understand, why does this work? Okay. Yeah, the amount of content I've gotten out of this one file is absolutely absurd. No, this C is just this, right? It's just whether it's what the letter is. And this, it works as a string, right? Can you... Right, so const char star root equals path dot filename dot cstra. It is, isn't it? It is. Unbelievable. I did not realize that. That is really upsetting. That is deeply upsetting, and I'm absolutely not going to do the conversion. I'd just rather not. I'm going to leave it as that. Well, there we go. We all learned something today. Watch out for cstra, because sometimes it's a Worcester. Thanks. Thanks, Windows. Real good one there. Yeah, it does have a... I'm sure it does have a cstra. I could be wrong. Or you suggest it might be a compiler extension, that might be a Microsoft extension. Returns the returns the native version of the path. Equivalent to native cstra. Okay. Yeah. I know Windows uses wide strings, well, UTF-16 encoding, like internally. I was just surprised that the API, the C++ API, would allow you to return either. What is this? I've never seen this before. This feels like a bug. This feels like someone misnamed something and now has no choice but to add this onto it. I don't think Formatter will have an overload for char unless you use a wide formatter. I could be wrong. I don't think you can mix and match. I could be wrong. I think you can format to a wide string, but I don't think you can I don't think you can mix and match because it won't know how to do the, was it the mustakawums under the hood? So if I can find it. Where's the one of my favorite C++ function names? Oh, I can't find it now. Was it removed? There you go. Yeah, was. And I think there's Worcester's inverse. Oh, you know what? Like, professionally, across my life, I've lost far more time to Worstring and Wchar than I care to admit. One of my first ever large C++ projects professionally was porting a large codebase from Windows to Linux. And did you know WHRT on Windows is 2 bytes and WHRT on Linux is not? It's 4 bytes. Because I didn't until all my serialization code exploded. Improve logging output. Stream 37. My goodness. Why is it 4 on Linux? Because the standard says it can be, right? Presumably the standard, like all integral types, just provides a minimum guarantee of the size. Like, you know, how wide is your wide char? Like, it's kind of up to the platform. Like, you know, your toaster might have an 8-byte wide char. Long char. Why wouldn't it get specifically not to get the native anything? Well, the whole point of C++ is to provide some kind of common vocabulary types and sort of to attempt to facilitate interchange of information between different platforms, right? Because you're effectively just coding for the abstract machine. So I'm actually surprised it does allow you to go native. The only other place like I've seen it do that before is stood thread with native handle, but this, oh, they've changed it. It used to have like a comment in here saying like platform defined type in like this weird like red comments, but yeah, that's the only other. That's the only other place I can think of off the top of my head where it might be like that. 37-bit wide char. Yeah, I know. I didn't know. I did not know that either. That's funny. The other one that's funny like that is like when I keep banging on everyone to use the fixed width integer types, they are technically all optional because you cannot guarantee on your platform it definitely has these. The only thing that's guaranteed to exist is the least type, and I am absolutely not typing uint least 16t every time I want a short, right? I'm just going to use these and hope they exist. But because the standard only provides minimum guarantees of integral types, these are technically optional because you might not be able to guarantee these types exist. But this is a nightmare. Well, also, we are close to standardizing. There are indeed 8 bits in a byte in C++. It's still at least 8 in the standard, but C++26, we're solving the real problems now, guys. We've all gotten together and thought, yes, we should all agree there's 8 bits in a byte. Well, isn't char always guaranteed to be the size of a byte? Oh, is it not in 26? I really thought that was going in 26. Fine, 29. I've seen the paper. I thought it was going to get approved for 26. That's a shame. I guess we can have 3 more years of unknown bit size. yeah, I mean, this is nightmarish for like serialization and anything where you want to have any sort of commitment on the size. But I just find it interesting that, you know, most C++ people, most devs will say just use the fixed width integer sizes, but it's technically optional. So yeah. Anyway, fun time had by all. So the paper for the standardizing 8-bit bytes did a bit of history spelunking, and I don't think they could find any compiler that supports any platform that doesn't have an 8-bit byte. That's kind of their justification for standardizing it. So you'd love to learn about Ghidra and the way you use it for game videos, but you've never worked with C, C++ or assembly. Where would you recommend to start with? If you're new, I've said this before, if you're new to like systems programming or low-level programming, I generally think starting with C is a good shout. Like, it'll get you used to pointers, it'll get you used to dynamic memory memory allocation, manual memory management, without all the, like, C++ just has a lot in it, and I think it's quite easy to get a bit lost with it and a bit frustrated, whereas C is pretty simple. It's a pretty simple standard library. I'd start there. I would then go to Godbolt and I'd start writing simple C programs and then seeing how they turn out in assembly, and then you can kind of fork yourself from there, right? You can kind of keep going a bit deeper, or you can go a bit higher with C++, and then kind of just choose your own adventure from there. But that'd be my kind of like really high-level starting point would be actually try and pick up a bit of C and kind of convince yourself you understand how pointers work and double pointers work and the ever-elusive 3-star programmer triple pointer. And then, yeah, sort of we can go C++ or assembly or a bit of both. It might still get in. Okay, fair enough. You seem pretty up with the latest standards and stuff. I kind of half read about them on Reddit and try and keep up to date, but I don't know. Are you actively involved in any papers? It'd be kind of interesting. You don't have to say, but I'm be kind of curious if you are. Yes, that was in the docs. Path, I did not realize that, but path Seastra is the same as path.native.seastra. Stud formatter is coming for file system, I think. I think 26, but I really, that is a real stretch. I think I've seen a paper for it. Okay. There's always something new with C++. That's, you know, and I think that's, say what you want about the language, there's always something new to learn with it, and I think that's quite interesting. Keeps you on your toes. Right, it is that time once again when we must all say goodbye and disappear slowly into the ether until we rejoin it, until our next commune on Wednesday, where we'll try to do some more game programming. I'm going to have a little look to see if there's anyone we want to move the Twitch people over to. Same category. Search for C++. There does not appear to be anyone doing anything today, which is a shame. Always do. Nope. Not today. Okay. Toodlepip, indeed. Pip pip. Sure, that works just as well. Cheerio. Goodbye. Let's do it again soon. It's been great fun, and I look forward to the next one. Catch you later, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.